to your March 2024 astrology forecast. I hate March. It's literally my least favorite month. If I could take out February, March, and April out of the year, I would be so happy to do so. I do not like spring. It is my least favorite season. With that being said, I'm not going to bring bad vibes to this reading. I'm only saying it from a place of being biased, one, because I'm on the East Coast and I hate this weather, and that's why I had to put my hair up, because it's so frizzy because it's raining all the time. Two, because I have my Saturn in Aries, and that means that around this time of year, everything has to cross over my natal Saturn, and it's never a good time. I'm going through a rough time. I know I look cool, calm, and collected right now. It's because I'm trying to be professional and show up and do this reading for you, but I'm really going through it. So please know that that is why this is delayed. I know that last month I said I was going to be better with the timing of these readings, and I want to be better. I do. I got hit with life. Life is lifing for me right now. So with that being said, thank you for being so patient with your rating. And if you haven't noticed already, this is a pre-recording. It's going to be at the beginning of every single forecast for each rising sign. So if you already watched yours and you're like, why is this clip coming up again? This is going to be, I'll put like a timestamp or something like that in the video so you know where to skip to. I just wanted to do this because I find myself when I do all of the rising signs like repeating myself a lot, and it makes me kind of burnt out to do these readings, and I'm trying my best to work smarter, not harder recently, and just make little changes to all my content and my work and stuff like that in order to show up and be the best version of myself and give you guys the value that's actually going to help you. Like, use astrology and understand it and use it as a cheat code, because that's the whole reason that I do this as my job. With that being said, I am making a little bit of a transition in my business. So this isn't like a hard launch announcement. I'm just putting the feelers out there a little bit, that I am going to be moving more into like educational content, creating a course, creating what's the word I'm looking for, like lectures and classes and stuff like that. It's not that I'm not going to be doing readings at all anymore. They're probably just going to be more exclusive, where I take like a handful of clients at a time rather than come one, come all, because that's what I've been doing pretty much my entire business. And while I do love doing it, I've met so many incredible people and worked with like over 1,000 customers so far, I have to admit that I'm burnt out, and I've been burnt out literally since my business took off in 2021. And it's been like a long time coming of me just having to accept that and make the changes that are necessary, because I want to do my podcast again. There's so many ideas that I have that like light me up and excite me, but I always have to put them on the back burner because I have to prioritize my clients first, which isn't a problem, but I just wish I could copy and paste myself and be there all the time for every reading, fully available. And especially when I go through stuff like this, it really takes a toll on me, where I'm like juggling all these responsibilities and all these people that I need to work with, and I like can't even, like, I'm going through something on my own, and then I have to show up and like talk for 4 hours about someone else's trauma while I'm not even processing my own. So I'm just trying to be responsible. I think I've said this like on my TikTok, where I think up until this point I thought the solution was like, oh, I just need to suck it up and work harder. And I'm learning now that like the solution is not working as hard, and I think I just was blind to that solution the whole time. So with that being said, has this been out of focus the whole time? It better not have been. Sorry for the noise. I'm in my little TikTok chair, which was such a good investment. Literally saved my back. But okay, the things that we need to talk about this month with this forecast for everybody across the board, regardless of your rising sign, we have an eclipse at the end of the month. We have an eclipse at the end of the month. There is a door closing at the end of March that opened way back in the fall. Way back in like October 2023. That is the month that I want you to imagine in your mind, because it's going to provide the context for what's closing out now. And the reason I say that is because every full moon that we have is going to be a closure, like a door closing to a door that opened 6 months prior. But when we have that attached to an eclipse, baby, that is like 100 times harder and more intensified. So this is really going to be what was the precursor in the fall is now the culmination and the full circle moment, basically, in the area of your chart that Libra rules. Don't worry, we're going to talk about that. On top of that, we have a new moon in Pisces, so this is going to be a new beginning, a new chapter opening in the Pisces area of your chart. We're making the transition from what is Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, into Aries energy, which is the first sign of the zodiac. So I have the pleasure and the grace of telling you that if you have not been hitting the ground running with your New Year's resolutions, and you're like, girl, we are in the first quarter and I haven't even done anything, it's okay, because it makes no sense as to why our calendar that isn't zodiacal is set up to convince you that in the middle of January, when you're supposed to be like harvesting your nuts and hibernating and preparing for a winter, are you supposed to like transition to this new person. We're supposed to be going with the seasons, baby. It makes no sense why you would like get in a cocoon and blossom in January when everything is dead and cold. So with that being said, as we make our way into spring, it is the new year. Everything's blossoming, everything's like opening up. The seeds that you planted when it was cold and dark and stormy are now going to see the light of day and be able to grow and blossom. So this is your second chance. You always have a second chance. Every day you wake up is a second chance, but this is really your second starting point, I would say, to really take off on your goals, to even just really identify them. I think that people typically tend to get a little bit more independent this time of year and get that fire underneath their butt because we have things that incentivize us, like spring break, it's almost summer, like having a vacation planned, summer plans, things like that, that kind of make you be like, okay, I should probably get up, I should probably start working out, I should probably start saving up, you know, things like that. And you know, with a new beginning comes an ending initially. So we usually have to close things out in order to make room for the new things that are going to be arriving. So with that Pisces energy, that's where it can be the deep, purging, emotional, psychic, intuitive, spiritual endings and letting go, where we are suddenly becoming very poetic and writing in our journal, where we are finding ourselves praying and manifesting, where we are 3 days in of rotting in our bed, and it's totally okay because that's what you're supposed to be doing during Pisces season, is sleeping, resting, reflecting, kind of soaking it all in and learning your lesson of it all. Aries season is that fire coming in, baby. It's like the Kool-Aid man slamming through the wall. Pisces is being like, I just can't let it go, like crying over something, feeling like your world is ending because it is ending, because Pisces does rule endings. And then Aries is that like crying for, like, it's a new year, baby, and you're ready to just like jump out of bed. I would say that the Aries energy, the transition is like Pisces feeling so distraught and heartbroken and purging emotion over all the things you lost, where Aries energy is like the motivation and the discipline coming from your veins because you're ready to get your revenge and prove everybody wrong that doubted you. So it's a fun little transition. It's definitely a big step from one energy to another, but that discomfort is what gets the ball rolling for a new zodiacal calendar year. So I'm super excited. I hope that these readings help you. Again, always check for your rising sign. You need to check for your rising sign. That's the only thing with my readings that's gonna give you the most clarity. So if you're checking for your sun sign and you're like, girl, it's because I told you to check for your rising sign, okay? Is there anything else I need to add? If you want to book a reading in the meantime, while I still have them open, you can go to kmoney.biz. Everything's going to be available in the like description of this video, all the links you need and stuff. So you can subscribe to my Patreon, follow me on other platforms, subscribe to my email list, my newsletter on kmoney.biz, so that way you can see the updates for when I do have courses and stuff coming out. Other than that, I hope you have an amazing month. Please remember that with eclipses, like, you're not going to die. It's not the end of the world. Can they be intense? Yes. They don't always have to be malicious. You don't have to be afraid of going outside. You don't want to fear astrology. When you fear it, it will find you and it will hunt you down and it will make you face it. You want to embrace the change. You want to be open to what it's trying to show you and to teach you. That way you can evolve. If you're scared your whole life, you're never gonna live. And if you're kind of showing up scared and being like, I'm ready to kind of experience it anyways, you're gonna be taken on that very exciting ride. So as we make our way into the new year, into March, I hope that you guys have an amazing month. Please share what you're going through down below, not only because I love hearing what you guys are going through and it makes everybody, I think, feel a little bit less alone, but also because it genuinely helps me do these predictions to see that there is a running line of consistency and a common denominator between people that share the same rising sign. So tell me what you're going through. I hope this helps you guys. Love you, and thank you for watching. Hi, Cancer. Okay, a lot of the focus for you this month is going to be leaving your 8th house, going into your 9th house, and heading into your 10th house. So this is a journey of being reborn again, coming out of maybe a little bit of a darker, quieter, just more intense phase of this year as we head into what is more enlightening, having a bigger idea, bigger perspective, more opportunities available to you, maybe even the opportunity to travel, and then focusing on your career, your public image, and your accomplishments. Are you guys shaking a little bit? On the 3rd, Venus in your 8th house squared Uranus in your 11th house. So Venus and Uranus aspects can typically just be what is shock factor, liberation, pushing against the grain, non-conforming, going after what you want very impulsively. And with Venus in the mix, it's usually what you want. It's your desire, it's what feels good, it's your comfort zone, it's pleasures, it's money, it's romance. Typically having this between your 8th house and your 11th house might be even a little bit having to do with like the trust that you have for other people, because we're really combining what is the more intense transformative aspects of the 8th house being trust and intimacy, transformation, as well as complicated finances, and the 11th house being your friends, groups, associates, communities that you're a part of, how other people support you. So if it's not financial when it comes to making a lot of sales, having a lot of people invest in you both literally or metaphorically, it might have something to do with trust when it comes to the people that you associate yourself with and that you surround yourself with, whether that's anything from a group chat to the industry that you're a part of, to a youth group that you go to a Facebook club or Facebook group page that you're a part of. On the 8th, Mercury conjunct Neptune in your 9th house. So this is very deceptive. It's typically going to be smoke and mirrors, not seeing things very clearly, blurring the lines, blurring your vision when it comes to assessing something in reality and with a practical sort of lens. However, having this in the 9th house, I would say might be a little bit more to your benefit, at least if you're practicing it in terms of spirituality, perspective, philosophy, even studying things that are maybe a little bit more open-minded, so less textbook information and more philosophical or open to interpretation. I say that because the 9th house is like education, it's learning through experience, it's getting outside of your comfort zone, it's big opportunities, it's spirituality as well. So it's a great day to say, ponder your perspective on life, what you believe to be true, mindset work, manifestation. Not very good for, fibs and big lies from other people, or maybe even having a conflated vision of, I don't want to say what you're capable of and limit you to what you're capable of, but rather like jumping before you watch your step. That could be something that was a little bit unclear, and we're going to revisit this later into the month. On the 9th, Mars in your 8th house squared Uranus in your 11th house. So similar idea to what happened on the 3rd between Venus and Uranus. However, this time it's Mars and Uranus. So it's not quite as friendly and warm and cozy and fuzzy and, there to just comfort us and kind of give us this thriving, impulsive desire to go after something that feels good. In fact, it can be quite the opposite. It can be very conflicting, very frustrating, very even combative or very aggressive or abrasive in nature, because this is more so us flying off the handle, less for something that we want and more because something really pissed us off. This is like very unexpected arguments. It's kind of coming out of left field with aggressively pursuing something. It doesn't always have to be, the worst conflict in the world involving somebody else. It can even be like having a lot of momentum to go after something, having competition with other people, having a lot of drive, a lot of ambition, really wanting to hit the ground running very immediately and kind of, again, not watching your step, dropping things along the right way because you're rushing. Same idea though, this is between the 8th house of complicated finances. So this is less about borrowing $20 from a friend and more about taking out a loan or sharing like a lease with somebody. It's investments, it's taxes. And again, the 11th house is things like social media and a following in your friend group and the people that support you online, really how other people can support you or the lack of support in that social area as well. I would also say it's things that are like organizations, politics, where you're like a leader to other people, whether that be again literally or metaphorically. Having those two areas of the chart have conflict can really be something that's quite intense and heavy, but now also involving other people, or at least being maybe felt or seen by other people on a larger scale. On the 10th, there was a new moon in Pisces in your 9th house, so very new, exciting energy. The 9th house is really lit up for you this month, so there's a lot around opening your mind, seeing the world in a new way. When we go from the 8th house to the 9th house, the 8th house is like, falling to your knees. It's hitting your rock bottom. It's just being brought down deep to, the deeper part of the pool to explore, and it's quiet, it's silent. You have a lot of room and a lot of time to, kind of do some introspection, engage in solitude, do some unraveling, confront things that maybe we want to keep on the deep end and not really look at. And then having that transition into the 9th house is like seeing the world in a new way. It's a newfound perspective. It's coming up from the deep end, back up for air again, and having the sun hit your face, and it's like a totally new day. So it's this sort of like the darkest and the lightest areas of the chart at the same time. To have this transition and have a new moon in the 9th house is kind of indicating that both within the next 2 weeks, as well as the unraveling over the span of the next 6 months, there's a new beginning in regards regards to faith, philosophy, education, traveling, your mindset, your perspective, and really getting outside your comfort zone and your typical parameters, your typical comfortable four walls. On the same day, Mercury entered Aries into your 10th house. So this is exciting because it's really getting the ball rolling in momentum when it comes to going after the things that you want, building your legacy, being more independent, especially if you're trying to make a lot of moves and change and success in your career right now. This can really indicate that. Mercury in Aries is very direct, it's assertive, it gets what it wants, it speaks its mind, it's confrontational. Confrontation doesn't always have to be bad. It can be beneficial, especially when you're trying to get to the root or the solution of a matter. Having it go through your 10th house can bring your intellect and your focus to this area of the chart. Maybe you're starting to make a vision board, you're starting to set really big goals, you want to get a certain promotion, you want to be in a certain position. Now is the time to really speak up about that, but also make the moves that match it. You want to talk the talk and walk the walk with this. On the 11th, Venus is entering your 9th house. Really exciting energy because Venus is really going to bring a sense of ease and grace and comfort and beneficial, harmonious energy to wherever it's transiting in your chart. Having that go through the 9th house, again, can be something like planning a vacation, like spring breaks coming around. It can be just saying yes to opportunities, or maybe having opportunities present themselves to you that weren't available previously. It can be that you're just feeling more positive, more optimistic, you're starting to believe yourself a little bit more, you're getting support or attraction or attention from other people as well, especially if you do anything like using your voice, podcasting, speaking, publishing, broadcasting. Those things can go very well here as well. And if you're studying something, taking a course, or you're literally in school or in college, it looks like things will be very favorable for you right now. On the 17th, this is the throwback to that Neptune-Mercury conjunction that happened on the that happened on the 8th. So that sort of conflated, blurred lines, maybe romanticizing something, not seeing something entirely clear, sort of revisits and resurfaces around mid-month on the 17th. It doesn't have to be the same exact situation, but the same idea of something being a little bit maybe up for misinterpretation. Maybe you misunderstood something, or vice versa. There can be some confusion or uncertainty or even doubt or paranoia around something or someone that's happening in your 9th house, again, in regards to not speaking, talking, writing. It's education, traveling, faith, philosophy, and your beliefs. So yes, this is your beliefs in terms of like, you know, whether you believe in a religious organization or you're very spiritual, but it's also your general understanding of life and the way things and people work based off of your experiences. So to have the Sun conjunct Neptune, this is typically going to say we want to watch out for maybe people that have a sense of authority over us, whether that's a boss or a father or a teacher, especially in the 9th house, somebody that has some sort of influence or maybe the ability to give us or take power from us. To have Neptune kind of playing in the mirrors there, it really softens the edges to where something's a little bit more unclear. This can be relevant to whatever you were discussing or whatever was coming up at the beginning of the month, considering it was in the same area of the chart. First, it was Mercury, so that can be information, communication, the way that you're talking to somebody, getting from point A to point B. On the 17th, it's more of like an influence or your ego or your personality or this competitive creative spirit that starts to get a little bit maybe losing the plot or getting off of what is practical rationale, if that makes sense. So just use your discernment, and if it's something that's actually like, you know, blurry and kind of mysterious in a positive way, like in an artistic way or a spiritual way, you can definitely play into that energy as well. On the 18th, Mercury is going to enter shadow in Aries. So this is basically just saying that where Mercury is going through your 10th house, again, of your career, your public image, your reputation, your accomplishments, it's going to revisit this area of the chart when it goes retrograde. What that means is that it's going to retrace its steps into this similar territory. So whatever's kind of relevant to you right now, whatever you're talking about, whatever decisions are being made, whatever communication is happening, especially in regards to your career or your accomplishments, is likely to be revisited for better or for worse. That doesn't have to mean that if something's going good, it's not going to go good later, or if something's going bad, it's going to immediately fix itself. It's typically just going to be a time of reconsideration, revisiting the drawing board, finding, you know, out the fine lines and stuff like that to kind of get to a solution. That way, when it goes direct again, when Mercury stations direct again, you're moving forward more smoothly in a way that maybe wouldn't have been available to you had it not given you that time to reconsider or retrace your steps. On the 19th, Mercury is going to conjoin the North Node in your 10th house, and then on the 20th, Mercury is going to conjoin Chiron. So the North Node and Chiron have both been conjunct in the sky for a little bit. This is really going to bring attention to healing, to wounds, to sensitivity, particularly around the ego, masculinity, hyper-independence, having to do everything on your own, especially in your 10th house, again, of standing up on your own 2 feet, your independence, your accomplishments, your career, really what you want to leave this world with, the path that you want to take for your legacy. So to have that conjunction between Mercury and the North Node can be fated conversations or things that are just really getting you aligned when it comes to having like a breakthrough, an epiphany, a revelation, maybe with a boss, maybe with an authority figure, maybe with a mentor, somebody that can possibly help you, or even a boost in your own status, your own reputation in some way. On the next day, having Mercury conjunct Chiron, this is going to be more so about those wounds and those sensitivities. So the thing that I like to point out about Chiron, it is referred to as the wounded healer, meaning that it can be a little bit triggering. Sometimes when we have Chiron get aspected, it can be where something stings a little bit. It's like pouring salt in the wound. However, that trigger is, also giving us the opportunity to heal from it. So this can be something where maybe you're not literally getting a wound re-picked open, but something that you used to be very sensitive about or self-conscious about actually goes a lot smoother and in your favor this time around. Like getting acknowledged for something that you haven't been acknowledged for before, or finally, completing a goal or an accomplishment or like a milestone in your career that for so long was something that was really troubling to you. So it's actually a great opportunity to take advantage of pushing past maybe where you typically stand in your own way or self-sabotage, or just have issues maybe around your image, your independence, who you are as a person, and your ego. On the same day, on the 20th, the sun is going to enter your 10th house. So this is really going to double down on the attention, the focus, the spotlight on your career sector. There's a lot between opportunities, your mindset, your perspective, manifesting things, your education, your understanding of things, and your career, and what you're able to do with that information, what you're able to alchemize with believing in yourself. That combination being very present for you this month is bringing a lot of opportunity for you to advance as an independent person, whether even if you don't work, even if you're unemployed, or you're like, girl, I don't even know what I'm doing for my career, like I just have a job that pays the bills. This is still helping you kind of craft what is going to be a stronger foundation in the long run for yourself. On the 21st, Venus is going to be conjoined Saturn in your 9th house. So I really like this aspect. Not everybody likes it, but you're really combining, to me, both pleasure and practicality. It's saying that the things that you want and your desires and the things that really light you up inside are equally available to you, as much as the practicality of creating like a realistic step-by-step plan to make that thing actually come into fruition and materialize. Venus on its own is very superficial. It's very surface level desires. It's things that just feel good because it's instant gratification. Saturn is quite the opposite. It's rules, it's restrictions. It's not too concerned about pleasure, and when it is, it's delayed gratification. So to have those two things in the sky together, really supporting one another, is basically saying you pick what you want and you figure out how to get there. The hard work is going to pay off, and you're going to be able to get that thing as long as you're willing to do what you need to do to get there, basically, and not cut corners. So this is a great time to really come up with a solid plan, to speak to a mentor, to get advice from somebody else, especially because this is in your 9th house. On the 22nd, Mars is going to enter your 9th house. So again, a lot of 9th house energy. Mars, wherever it's transiting, is really bringing a lot of action, assertion, aggression, how we go after the things that we want. It's our drive, it's our vitality. It is the fire that is lit beneath our butt. So to have that go into the 9th house, again, can typically be traveling. It can be taking a trip, whether that's you totally getting out of the country and going to foreign land, or just getting out of your city for like a work trip. It can also be that there's maybe frustrations with travel as well. It's kind of a double-edged sword in that way. There might be a lot of movement, change, or catalytic action to, again, your beliefs and your mindset and your education. You could be on like a fast track course to learning something new, and if it's not literally sitting in a classroom, it might be something where you're reading like a lot of self-help books, you're getting motivated, you're getting drive. This is going to be heading into your 10th house afterwards. So again, it's the same transition of what's going on up here, your beliefs, your mind, your way that you're communicating with people, and kind of sharing your opinions and your beliefs, and making waves when it comes to opportunities that are available to you, getting out of your comfort zone, saying yes to things, and that leading to the big accomplishments in your 10th house. On the 23rd, Saturn is going to enter shadow in your 9th house. So similarly to Mercury going retrograde in your 10th house, this is just saying that this is the area now. We are now in the territory that is going to be familiar for some time. And as Saturn stations retrograde, which is not happening yet, I believe it's not happening till June. I could be wrong, but you still have some time. It's a slow moving planet. It's going to return to this area. So really, this is a good time to kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture and be like, what's really going on here? Like, what are the circumstances happening in my life? What are the variables I can work with? What can I control? What can't I control? Because these things are kind of going to be lifted and put up in the air during the retrograde to sort of recalibrate and put into different places and work with what you got, basically. And it will be revisited both when it goes direct as well. So what's happening now basically is susceptible to change, but we will come full circle and revisit it later. On the 23rd, so same day, Jupiter is exiting shadow. So Jupiter has already been retrograde and stationed direct again. This is exciting because we're entering new territory. We've already went through all the familiar energy of Jupiter going direct, then retrograde, then direct again. So we've done that loop-de-loop, and now we're moving forward into new degrees and new territory that we have not explored yet in Taurus with Jupiter. So this is exciting because it's new opportunities, it's new growth, it's abundance, it's opportunities that are available to you in the Taurus area of your chart, which obviously in your case is going to be actually in your 11th house. So big dreams, manifestations, again, vision boarding. Like, I really think there's momentum growing for you to get the larger things in life that you want for yourself. That's not to say to just be dreamy or just have faith and not do, again, those practical, realistic steps that'll help you get there. But I think that things that maybe seemed very far away at one point are starting to be a lot more available to you. And it actually can be through your social connections. So like networking, your professional network, mutual friends, again, groups that you're a part of, communities you're a part of, people you surround yourself with, etc. On the 24th, Venus in your 9th house is going to be in a positive aspect to Jupiter in your 11th house. So really good support between, again, big dreams, big beliefs. I know I'm repeating myself here, but maybe it needs to be drilled through your head that you should really take advantage of what's going on in the sky for you this month. Because support between your 11th house of, again, how other people support you. These are like the big monumental, like, these are on my bucket list sort of goals, as well as, again, your influence on other people as an authority figure or as a leader of some sort, in a supportive aspect to Venus. So again, some good vibes, some warm, fuzzy, comfortable energy, harmonious energy, also involving like romance and finances. That's what's, going to be relevant as well, going through that 9th house. Again, maybe you're traveling for work. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm shaking so much on the camera. Maybe you guys are traveling for work. Maybe you got invited somewhere. Maybe you're going on vacation. Maybe there's something that's available to you that's like on a larger scale than usual. Maybe you are just speaking to the right person at the right time. It's like, hey, I can hook you up with this thing. Or you could totally just be having like spiritual revelations left and right through the vessel of like the people that you're friends with, or maybe even like the TikTok hole that you've scrolled down into, or the Discord group that you joined for manifestation. Like, things like that seem to be very relevant for you this month. On the 25th, also, that's a great day too to launch something like a podcast, a book, writing, both content consumption and creation, really using your voice on a larger level. It's kind of like stepping on your soapbox and having a microphone. Great day to kind of put yourself out there on the 24th. On the 25th, there's going to be a full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. This is going to be in your 4th house. So if you have any planets that are cardinal signs, so Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn around, we'll say like 2 to 8 degrees, this is going to be very big for you because it's going to be in a square or an opposition, considering we're having the lunar eclipse at 5 degrees. 5 degrees is a Leo degree. This is like entertainment, it's children, it's creativity, it's also pregnancy, it's romance, it's love, it's nurturing something, it's like planting a seed and growing something, if not a literal baby, like an idea. But you're having this in your 4th house of home, family, your roots, where you come from, your ancestry, your childhood, your home life, your private life, even the property that you live on or who you live with. So having this full moon lunar eclipse is going to be an ending, a coming of full circle, or a wrapping up of loose ends, basically, to something that began actually in last October. So I want you to think back to 6 months ago. Whatever began for you around October, November was really opening the door to these same themes: home, family, private life, your roots, your childhood, even your innermost like emotional, intuitive, raw self. You were having a new beginning in this area and now you're having an ending. Is that to say that like if you moved in somewhere you're gonna get kicked out now? No, it doesn't have to be so literal. Again, full moons don't have to be dramatic endings. It's just something that clicks into place where a cycle is closing. So this is going to be, you know, considering it's in one of the angular areas of your chart, it's probably going to impact you pretty heavily anyways. It could be a little bit more emotional for you. It might be closing out like an emotional chapter, but I think this is going to help remove any excess weight that you've been carrying, because you have so much stuff happening at the height of your chart, bringing new stuff in. And in order to bring in those new things, you need to make room for it by clearing out the old stuff. And then we end the month on the 26th with Venus in your 9th house, sextile Uranus in your 11th house. So just a few days ago on the 24th, Venus and Jupiter were in a really supportive aspect between, again, your 9th and your 11th house. Your dreams, your manifestations, your friends, who you're around, who supports you, and then your beliefs, your education, philosophy, and travel. Now it's Uranus and Venus. So this is again that shock factor, liberation, impulse, kind of doing something that's maybe not your usual approach or not your usual taste, or something that, you know, you've never really thought twice about but is now a little bit more intriguing and exciting to you. So this can be exciting when it comes to, again, like last minute opportunities, being able to say yes to something that's never been presented to you before, taking the unusual approach or route to something and actually being maybe unexpectedly very satisfying.